We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Parton,
Here.
Vice Mayor Gore, Councilor Joyner,
Here.
Councilor Harris,
Here.
Councilor Denton, Councilor Pelham,
Here.
Councilor Holloway. Councilor Holloway,
He's on mute.
I was on mute. I can hear you.
all right, we're doing attendance, so just say here.
Here.
All right, you have a quorum.
All right. At this time, do we have a motion to allow Counselor Holloway to participate remotely?
So move. I'll second that.
Okay. Motion's been made by Counselor Pelham and seconded by Counselor Joyner. Counselor Holloway, for the record, can you state where you're conducting the meeting from and your reason for requesting a virtual meeting?
I am actually at City Hall. I thought the traffic was going to be worse, so I'm actually coming in the door.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? Seeing no lights, roll call, please.
Councilor Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Parton,
Yes.
Councilor Pelham,
Yes.
Councilor Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay. Do I have a motion to go into closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1 to discuss and consider personnel matters, including board and commission appointments, the assignment and performance of specific appointees and employees of City Council, and to the extent such discussion will be aided thereby?
So move.
So moved.
Okay. Motion's been made by Counselor Joyner and seconded by Counselor Holloway. Is there any discussion? Seeing no lights, roll call, please.
Councilor Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Parton,
Yes.
Councilor Pelham,
Yes.
Councilor Holloway,
Yes.
Councilor Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Out of closed meeting, do I have a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved. Second.
All right, motion's been made by Counselor Holloway and seconded by Counselor Joyner. Is there any discussion? Seeing no lights, roll call, please.
Counselor Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Parton,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
Yeah.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, certification, please.
Certification pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3712D, where only public business matters, 1, lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements, and 2, identified in the closed meeting motion discussed in closed meeting.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Harris,
Yeah.
Mayor Parton,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Is there a motion to appoint Cassandra Vanderkief to the BZA, Barbara Patton to the EDA, Brian Hurdle, Nikki Geely, Bill Champner, and Latanya Doctor
So moved.
to the Social Services Board, and then Debbie Marks and Elliot Elates to the Bright Point Community College Board?
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Counselor Holloway and seconded by Counselor Pelham. Is there any discussion? Seeing no lights, roll call, please.
Counselor Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Parton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gore, Counselor Pelham,
Yeah.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Yes.
So, I was reminded today that we have the presidential debate at 9 o'clock.
Absolutely.
So, the goal is, everybody, let's try to get out of here by 8:30.
It might be the only debate
Yeah.
we get.
So, we're gonna move ahead into our work sessions. Mr. Ward.
For that, I will concede.
Mayor Park,
Yeah.
can you ask Tech to bring the mics down, it's feedback, so it's probably doing that online.
Do what?
There's a lot of feedback every time you're talking, it's ringing back.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. Tonight's first work session regards a conditional use permit request to construct a single-family dwelling on a non-conforming lot, parcel 0920665, also identified as 3000 Davis Avenue. The applicant is JRM Contractor LLC. The property is located in Ward 6 and zoned R2. All proper notifications were undertaken as required by state law. The map on the left shows the general location of the property, and then on the right shows a specific aerial of the property. You'll notice this is actually what's known as a double lot. It's got the parcel in the front and then the parcel in the back, and the JRM Contractor owns both. Minimum lot size in R2 is 75 feet wide and 7,500 square feet. This particular parcel is only 50 feet wide and 5,000 square feet, therefore the nonconformities are in the width and the total square footage. This image here is a picture of the house that used to be on this property, but was demolished, removed, and then the applicant wants to build a new house here. Here's the front elevation of the proposed property. It's a one-story, single-family dwelling, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,605 square feet. Again, the rear elevation, right side and left side. The proposed dwelling is unique architectural style in the neighborhood. Most of the houses in this neighborhood are a vernacular style. The average size of dwellings in the surrounding area is 1,193, and this proposed dwelling is 1,605, so it's a bit larger than the average. And it's quite a bit larger than the house that it's replacing. Staff recommended approval of the CUP with the following conditions: that the single-family dwelling will have roof overhang of 12 inches minimum. The single-family dwelling will include 4-inch wide trim around all windows on the front of this house. The lot will have a minimum tree canopy coverage of 20% at full maturity. Driveway will be installed of asphalt or concrete. It will have a brick foundation and foundation plantings, and that the final house design will be in substantial conformance with the design as presented. Planning Commission agreed with staff's recommendations and voted 5-0 to recommend approval at the August 8th public hearing. This is just a work session, so not asking for any action this evening, but I am available for any questions.
I wonder,
Okay, Counselor Pellin?
who goes out to certify that all the special parameters are met? Who goes out to check that before you check off on the building?
For the CO,
Yeah.
it would either be myself or in most cases, it'll be the senior planner.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Ward.
And then number 2.
So moving on to tonight's second work session item. I brought to you earlier in the spring a proposal to change the development fees in the development department. And took that back to Planning Commission and started there and had some back and forth there. And so it's taken me a little bit of time to get back to you, but this is what we have finally come up with on these revised fees. So I'll quickly go through this. The department has 2 sets of fees. There are building permits, and then within building permits, those are residential or commercial, and then we have what we call planning applications. So tonight, I'm not proposing any changes to our building permit fees. Simply just going to propose changes to our planning applications. As you can see, we are quite significantly, we are the lowest priced on our planning application fees in the region. The most information I could find on these fees is they've been this way for about 20 years. With state law and the requirements for advertisements for public hearings for nearly all of those applications, I'll get to a slide in just a minute, but the fees alone for advertisement exceed the cost of the application. But I did want to point out that the primary applicants for these types of applications are, for the most part, developers and property owners, real estate investors, and we do occasionally have property owners that will apply for these various planning applications. But back to my original point, you can see here the costs associated just with advertising with the newspaper. It doesn't relate to the associated mailings that we are required to do either. But you can see we actually lose money as a city. So we are the lowest in the region, and they don't cover the cost for the required advertisements. I would add to that notifications or staff review. So under site plan, that is one where we are not required to advertise, yet this is site plan review is the one that takes the most time from a staff perspective, and it involves not just the development department, but 5, 6, 7, 8 other departments within the city, just depends on the site plan. So had some discussion with Planning Commission, and Planning Commission suggested that I take a look at how other neighboring jurisdictions price this out, and we've come up with this this price schedule. It'd be $550 for the first submission. Second submittal, so that means staff would make initial comments on the site plan, give it back, and they would make those changes and submit it back for a second submittal. No charge for that. But if there requires additional comments and additional submittals, it'd be $250 on top of the base fee for each resubmittal. That will hopefully limit what is known as design by site plan review, where engineers just create site plans based off their standard, what they normally do, without really any regard to what our zoning ordinance requires. It also takes up a lot of staff time. We're hoping this price schedule could keep that to a minimum. So ultimately, the department's proposing to keep residential building permit and commercial building permit fees the same as they are, and to change the planning application fees to cover costs and to reflect the region. Those would be $1,500 for a rezoning, $550 for a variance, special exception, or special use, $650 for conditional use, and $1,000 for the zoning ordinance amendment. And of course, the site plan review, which was in the previous slide. So again, this is just a work session, not asking for any action, but I am available for any questions anyone may have.
Okay, Counselor Holloway?
Yeah. Yes, I think it's quite appropriate to reassess these fees, especially when the city's losing money. I do have a question though. Is there any way possible that we could differentiate between what, like most businesses do, to differentiate between the commercial charges and like residential charges for people who may be moving into the city, you know, type of thing, just to build a home versus the commercial? Is there any way possible they can consider that? Or are these fees specific based upon what it will cost the city?
That's a good question. So with building permits, the reason they're separated between residential and commercial is because different codes apply in the building code. It's not the same with a planning application. So we don't differentiate between whether it's a residential property or commercial. I've never seen that done. I'd be happy to look into it further if you'd like for me to do that, but I'd not even considered splitting it out that way on the planning application side.
Yeah, I think it would be considerable for our constituents, you know, if it's something possible. If not, I can understand that, but especially to people who reside in Hopewell, who've been here, taxpayers and so forth, if it is possible to, you know, differentiate between the two, because somebody affording to get a commercial space is usually in quite a different space than a person who may be trying to build a home or add an addition to their home or whatever the case may be. So, that, you know, just considering our constituents.
Sure, I'd be happy to look into that.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Mr. Ward? Okay, seeing no lights. Thank you, Mr. Ward.
Thank you.
All right, and we will roll right into our regular meeting. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mayor Parkin,
Here.
Vice Mayor Gore,
Here.
Counselor Joyner,
Here.
Counselor Harris,
Here.
Counselor Denton, Counselor Pelham,
Here.
Counselor Holloway,
Here.
you have a quorum.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do our, start with our prayer by Pastor Hart, and then the Pledge of Allegiance by Counselor Joyner. Please rise.
Gracious Father, tonight we've gathered here to do business for the city. We ask, oh God, that you would give clarity of mind and clarity of heart, that the business that will be conducted will be prosperous for the city and for the people. And oh God, we thank you for this opportunity, and amen and amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have a motion to amend the agenda to include an R2 for legal firm search?
So moved.
Motion's been made by Counselor Joyner and seconded by Vice Mayor Gore. Is there any discussion? Counselor Holloway?
We were voting on that tonight. I thought we were looking for further review before we,
This is for the city attorney search.
that's what I'm talking about. That we've done now.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we put it on here, you can discuss it. Okay, roll call, please.
Counselor Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Parkin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor
Yeah.
Counselor Holloway?
Yes.
Counselor Jordan?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
All right, I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Counselor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Parton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gore?
Yes.
Counselor Pelham?
Yes.
Counselor Holloway? Counselor Jordan?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay. Communications from citizens. I don't have anyone signed up. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak tonight on an item that's not on the agenda? Okay. Moving on to, let's see, we don't have any public hearings for tonight. Moving on to unfinished business. Unfinished business number 1, Mr. Ward.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. I don't have a presentation for this particular item, but basically, we have undertaken all the necessary steps to become finally a certified local government with the Department of Historic Resources at the state level. We've changed our ordinance, we've got everybody in line, we've got our boards all straight, we've got the correct people on the boards and advising the boards. We're there. This is the last item, and that is for you, I'm asking tonight for you all to provide authorization to the city manager to sign the contract. Ms. Burton has looked it over, had no issues with it, so, but I'm here to answer any questions about certified local government status or any other questions you may have.
Okay. Vice Mayor Gore.
I'd like to make the motion.
Can
I second it?
Jump in on that second.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Long time coming.
Or discussion?
Yeah.
I'll just say, like, Councilwoman Bailey is the one who really brought this to our attention. And then when she was going out, I put on the agenda with, what is it, the heritage thing that we had with, it was something that President Bush had started. It was another,
It
it
was.
was heritage something, another grant thing. When you guys looked into it, it kind of was like fading away. You guys said go
It's
with
not
the city.
funded
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
And then since then, you guys have been rocking the background to get this done. And then, like, it seemed like last year you kind of popped back on the scene and was like, hey, all this work we've been putting into this is starting to pay off. And so, honestly, like, it went in the back of my mind, and I honestly wasn't tracking it ever since then until you guys put it back up. So I just want to personally say thank you for continuing throughout these years to get us to get this designation. Your team worked very hard. I think Director Griffin, when she was here, she worked hard on that as well.
She did.
So I just want to make sure we give flowers to Tavia and then also Christina, because they started this effort. And then with Council Jordan and I would serve on the ARB together, and we talked about it then. So it's kind of crazy to see it come full circle at this point in time. So I just want to say several people had their hands in this, but if it wasn't for your team doing the work and making the changes for us to get certified, we would not be here. So thank you very much for your leadership.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? Seeing no lights, roll call, please.
Counselor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor Parton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gore?
Yes.
Counselor Pelham?
Yes.
Counselor Holloway? Counselor Jordan?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. UB2, Ms. Martinez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of council. Tonight, I come before you tonight to request the consolidation of part-time positions as well as the funding to reallocate to a full-time position, the funding, as well as the part-time positions to accommodate that. This request has been done and requested because we are severely understaffed in our pool. And in order to make sure that we have enough operational hours for our community, this is the requirement that we would need to do to ensure that. I will also pre-emphasize the upcoming budget cycle. I will be asking for additional full-time staff because unfortunately we just cannot be competitive with our part-time wages. So this will help us, again, resume as close to normal operating hours as we possibly can and hopefully better serve the citizens of Hopewell.
Okay.
Sorry, Mayor Pardon. I just want to emphasize that all of this is already in my current budget. I'm just reallocating everything. So I'm not asking for any extra money, just permission to do so.
Okay. Vice Mayor Gore?
The question that I had is, in regards to consolidating, how is that gonna impact your operations?
So right now, we still have a full-time aquatics program specialist position out. This will be the third full-time position. So my goal is to have 4 full-time positions. That way, I only have to rely on part-timers for a few hours, whereas the full-timers will have overlap, in which we don't have to rely on those part-timers.
So what I mean, the consolidation of the positions, you're suggesting that it will put you in a better footing as opposed to having less manpower?
Correct. So instead of having 8 positions, I'm only going down to 4. I'm still going to keep part-time positions. I'm not taking all of them,
Okay.
just a few of them to consolidate for a full-time position.
Okay, and at some point in time, I'll defer to Dr. Manker. I do want a presentation or some clarity on what's going on with the pool team that comes there. I hear mixed things in regards to their presence in the pools and our city's commitment to having them come and taking up the pool from residents. So I want to get a perspective on what that looks like and your recommendation on continuing that, because quite frankly, just because we're doing stuff in the past doesn't mean we need to continue to do it. And if we're always trying to talk about improving our processes and our services, I do think that relationship needs to be revisited. And quite frankly, it's actually something that was really started outside of council. So I would like to know what the impact has been on your operations so council can help make a decision on what we want to do moving forward with that. So I defer to you on how you want to present that or whatever, but I would say, should have been later, so to get the information, because I think that also impacts your ability to operate the pool.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay.
I will definitely
Am I
provide
wrong
that.
though? Is it impacting your
It is 100% impacting our operations and our availability for our communities.
Okay, yeah, so for Dr. Manker, if you have time to get on the next agenda, then I suggest that you do that so we can help provide you support and cover.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay. Counselor Holloway?
What's the new hours for the citizens? Because there was like a thing that they complained about all the time. Is
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
the hours, what are the pool hours?
So currently, we are operating from 7 a.m. to approximately 11 to 12, depending on which day it is, because we have to accommodate the Nova South swim team.
You're
so-
talking about 11
It's
a.m.?
a.m. to about 11 p.m.
That's-
to 12 o'clock. So we,
How did we come to the place of even allowing that to happen? Because most of the students wouldn't, they're in school at those hours. I think that was how do we even get to that place?
so those are our morning operation hours, and then we reopen at 4 o'clock. So it's essentially closed during that lunchtime period.
Gotcha.
We are very fortunate that we have a great partnership with Swim RVA, who provides us a lifeguard while they are doing the second graders Learn to Swim program. So if we're short-staffed, we're able to rely on them to provide that second guard for us, because we always have to have 2 guards to operate our pool.
So you're saying the only time that it's not available is from that 11 to 4?
Right now, correct. Mhm.
Okay, I don't think that's bad. Especially, what does having that swim team presence here, what does it?
So they practice in the morning. So they come in about 4:45 to about 6:45. So that means that's about 2 hours prep time that my staff is not outside of operational hours that we have to give up to our citizens in order to accommodate this outside request. In addition to that, they also want to practice on Saturdays, which again is taking hours away during the regular work week, our current operational hours dedicated to an outside rental.
So they're not paying additional fees to accommodate overtime or anything of that nature?
So their current memorandum of understanding is actually $11 per lane per hour.
So the answer is no.
$11, so nothing,
I can do a cost analysis for you, sir.
please, thank you.
When did y'all make that MO? Oh, I'm sorry. Did we approve that? Did you?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, can we get that?
So we are currently operating under the understanding of a proposed MOU. There is not a currently signed MOU.
Yeah, so you said that with the understanding instead of actually.
Correct, because of concerns of staffing and being able to facilitate that MOU.
I think just like Mr. Ward had presented to us with his things and research to make sure that not losing money, trying to accommodate them if to see what arrangements need to be made if they're going to do that. They need to pay more money to service the overtime versus taking hours from the week just so they can work on the weekend, I think that's completely inappropriate, but I think we probably need to have a different MOU in place.
Yes, sir, and I apologize, I didn't realize. So the way it has been done in the past is that the director usually does the MOU with it, so I apologize if y'all wanted to see that.
No, I mean, I'm, you know, what they were speaking to, I understand it, I'm not faulting you for it. I'm just, you know, something like that, you know, we're all about making sure that it's not pushing back on the citizens, and I know that's also your concern, but,
Yes, sir.
you know, so thank you.
I appreciate that.
All right, Counselor Pelham and then Counselor Gore.
Whenever you make an MOU, it's gonna impact the citizen base. That is a decision that has to come by way of the city manager or the city council. Any MOU for the city. I mean, you understand that, right?
Yes, ma'am, and Dr. Maker has been involved in the conversations.
Okay, well, yeah, so if there's no MOU, then Ms. City Manager, does that mean you will reach out and try to get one?
We're currently working on one at this time.
Yeah, and so
Correct.
that would encumber not disadvantaging our citizen base and not causing the citizens' taxes to pay for a swim team's private use, right?
Yeah.
Make sure those costs are covered so that the citizens don't pay for what they can't use. That's crazy. So, anyway, we look forward to seeing that, to
Yes,
make
ma'am.
that decision.
Okay. Vice Mayor Gore?
Just for clarity, to wrap this up, the reason why I brought it up because it's impacting the pool, which is why I asked for Director Martinez to talk about it. This is in place prior to her becoming director.
Right.
And so part of the cleanup with this new administration, the new city manager that we have, is going back to correct old habits and gentlemen's agreements that have been put into place prior to this new current leadership. So they're working to clean this up, and I'm just trying to help expedite the process because I know it is impacting your operations. And quite frankly, I don't understand why we even have done that as a city. When council didn't approve it, authorize or ask for services to be taken away from our public with our tax dollars to give to another group. So, I would defer to Councilor Holloway's point, and when you make the presentation, add the cost analysis, so that way you capture everyone's thought process, and then really show the impact it has to operations. But I just want to put on the record that it's not her doing. She's just trying to help clean it up.
Yes.
So, I support I'll make a motion to approve the request to consolidate the wage positions, get the exact verbiage.
It's to approve the combined part-time positions to create a full-time position by reallocating existing operating funds in the amount of $48,153.
That's the
Second.
motion. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a lifeguard position.
Does
Light
that,
position.
question,
Counselor Pelham?
does that include benefits for those people?
Yes, ma'am.
And your budget encumber all of that?
Correct, yes, ma'am, it does. So the breakdown, if you would like, would
No,
be,
I saw it, I just wanted to make sure
yes,
that
ma'am.
it doesn't have to be adjusted. We don't always get accurate numbers of stuff, and then it's a change later on, so that's why I like to hear it verbally.
I appreciate
Okay,
that.
thank
Yeah,
you.
Miss Ramonda Carroll actually double-checked my numbers in regards to the VRS and so forth. So that was a slight addition to the original documentation, but what you see in your packet is the correct.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. UB3?
We gotta vote now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get us rolling here. My bad. Any other discussion? Seeing no lights, roll call, please.
Counselor Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Parton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
Yes.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Okay. UB3?
Good evening, everyone. I'm here about, as most of you, all of you know, I've been sharing an attorney slot with Prince George County under a grant. That grant runs out the end of December. I'm here asking for the city council to make a slot for this particular lawyer. She's been doing all the heavy murder cases, basically 7, 8 cases, murder cases going on for the past year. We've finally making some progress. We just had the murder over at the Summit. The individual received 50 years last Wednesday, and the co-defendant pled guilty. His sentencing comes up later. Paris Moore's case comes up early next year. And she's been strictly working on it. She's been put countless hours into it. She's got a good rapport with the families. I think any of you that were at the media release a couple weeks ago, there was an individual in the audience that asked, will we go be able to keep her? She's got a great rapport, and it would be a disservice to these victims' families if she's let go. And so I'm asking y'all to grant her a slot effective January 1.
Okay. Counselor Pelham, and then Counselor Holloway.
Okay. Mr. Newman, you said she's working on 8 cases now?
She's got 8 murders. She's picked up some more, but I kind of hesitant to give her any more because I don't know if she's going to be here next year. And I can tell you, murder case is generally going to take a minimum of a year to get from arrest up to a trial in circuit court.
Okay. And have you tried to make any coordination with Prince George to?
No, they went out on their own, got their own thing. They got a slot from the comp board this year, and so.
And we weren't eligible for that?
No. Well, we were eligible for it.
We didn't.
I was 8th in line for another slot.
And they didn't give it to you?
I didn't get it this year.
Wow. I had another question, but I can't remember what it was.
And I'll tell you, the time studies that were done back 22, I think, it may have been 23, we're down 2 attorney slots and have been for a long time. So.
Two down, meaning you have 2 authorized slots and they're not filled, or you?
No, I should have 2 more slots. I should have 2 more attorneys than what I have.
From the comp board?
From the time study that was done.
Oh, I see, but they haven't authorized them yet?
No.
Okay.
And who knows if they will. That's the problem.
Okay, and how many attorneys do you have now?
We have, let's see, 1, 2, 5.
And so she's one of the 5, so 4 people.
She's 5.5.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, she's only supposed to work 20. She's probably worked 40 to 60 on these murders because what you all understand, body camera video. Just in Paris's case, 20 hours. But someone's got to sit down and look at every bit of it because you don't know who has what on their body cam. And then the jailhouse calls. So everything is time consuming, and
Okay, I have to remember all the questions, if I remember what I was. This is all cold case files she's doing, right?
mm-hmm.
I mean, cold case meaning that it has to be a certain number of years old, or just?
No, cold case means anything we haven't solved, we're trying to go
Oh,
back
okay.
and see if we can get more evidence to do something.
Oh, okay. Cold case.
And we have a lot of those as well as
All right, thank you.
Okay. Counselor Holloway.
So this position that you're asking for is mostly based upon hours, not the understanding that we have received that this is a special attorney because they work with cold case file, but more so the manpower. And that the office needs?
Well, it's, my intent is she's gonna try to work nothing but murder cases, including the cold cases. But the biggest concern I have is having to restart all over again. That's gonna be a huge disservice, it's gonna put delays, because somebody else will have to come in and start all over again.
What do you mean somebody else coming in?
Well, if she's not there, then another attorney's gonna have to step in and take over that case, and they're gonna have to probably pretty much restart all over again.
You mean one of the attorneys that's already in office?
Yes.
Attorney offices share loads all the time, so I'm not understanding what you mean by starting over.
Well, yeah, we share and swap off cases all the time, but in these particular murder cases, we don't. And as I said earlier, you're talking 20 hours of body cam footage that she's reviewed. I don't know how many umpteen hours of jailhouse calls, which somebody else is gonna have to come in and do all over again.
So I beg pardon my questions, but I'm just trying to get clarity. I thought you said that her cases were finished. You were planning on appointing her.
No,
to
her
new
cases are
but-
still ongoing. She's got Paris Moore cases early next year and several others going as late as April and May, even into August.
So, provided that these monies request is a one-time thing, not added into the salaries, is this request just for a certain period of time?
I'm requesting it permanently.
Uh,
And I requested it at the budget and it was shot down. So it's not the first time I've requested this.
Madam City Manager, somebody, can you give me clarification on if we're approving this request, this is one-time funding that's available at the moment, how will we be going about it?
So the one-time funding, yes, these are one-time fundings because we're using year-end dollars from 2024. However, there's enough funding to go ahead and approve this request, and then in the upcoming budget, actually budget the position into the budget, the 26 budget.
So would it then be appropriate for us to request it only for this year, and not permanently, since we're only paying with a one-time budget, and then agree to make her a full hire going forward with the next year budget? Because right now, we're just doing it based upon a one-time.
So that's a council decision, but I would say essentially, because how the funds are already designated, I would say we are just asking for enough to get through the remaining of the budget.
Right, so.
To the end of June.
To the end of June, yes.
So then I would be in for to do the motion, to have her until the end of June and then, permanently thereafter to, as a, new position for next year, because we only have one-time funding, so it just, I don't think it'd be appropriate to do,
So your motion's to approve the position for funding for the second half of fiscal year '25, and then to make it bake it into the actual budget?
correct.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. Motion's been made by Counselor Holloway and seconded by Counselor Joyner. Is there any other discussion? Counselor Pelham?
Oh, I forgot what I was I forget. So that means, so then next year, the new budget, you have to request it again.
Well, and that may be a problem because if she's not assured a job, she may not stay.
So that wasn't my, I
Yeah,
wanted
you
to
sound like-
assure her, no, I wanted to assure her job, but not permanently based upon this one-time payment.
Right.
To make her,
Right.
make her full-time, make her a permanent employee, during the time for the new budget, because right now, you're making a request from a one-time, budget.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
So she'll basically be continuing in the job. It's just because we are only able to use a one-time budget. We can't-
Okay, I see what you're saying.
yeah, but the other thing is you have to consider that the new CFO says she's gonna bring us information about a brand-new budget. Is that not true?
The
Because
CFO,
we didn't get true numbers, whichever fancy financing y'all been
so
doing in the past.
you requested what, of the CFO to work with the Commissioner of Revenue in the Treasurer's Office to determine whether the funds that we have carried over to the savings from 2024, whether those funds will be ongoing, and that is what she's working on.
Yeah, so that permanent position has to be based on that information. It can't be just made tonight, really. I don't think, I mean, I won't be here. Y'all can do what you want to do, but, the way the CFO present all that, our whole budget is being redone, correct? Because-
The entire budget is not being redone. You've asked her on the 2024 budget savings, whether the dollars that we have, you asked whether or not we should expect that same level ongoing year
Right,
after
yeah,
year.
so you can
And
identify
so
a
you can make a
source.
decision on whether to fund the recommendations that were presented to you.
Of course, yeah. that's
So,
what
so
you-
at the next
so when is
finance
that gonna
meeting,
be?
she should have that information.
Okay, and that's when you can make a full decision on that, because it has, any expenditure has to be matched with the revenue. And right now, we don't know what that revenue is, correct?
Right, but I would say from leftover 2024 funds, you have enough.
We know that,
here.
yeah, we
Yeah.
got through June 30, 2025. But July 1st, that is pending until she give us that report, correct? Correct?
That's up to council.
No, it ain't up to council, it's up
It's
to
up
you
to
telling us.
council.
Okay.
So, I'll speak, and then Counselor Holloway, and then Counselor Joyner. I mean, I think this is a smart investment of funds. We've got the one-time savings, and, just making sure that, this is, put into the actual budget for, the following year, that we start out the process with this being included in. I think it's a great idea, and I think it, reinforces, our commitment to public safety and working to get these murderers and these criminals off the street permanently. So I'm all in favor of it. Counselor Holloway and then Counselor Joyner.
I was about to speak on the same thing. My concern wasn't, my statement, of course, was to keep her. That's why I made the motion, first of all, but also understanding that this was a one-time thing. But it is something that, no matter what, next year, I think that we need to put into the budget. I don't care what money we have to shift around. I think it is absolutely necessary, like Mayor Parton was just speaking on. One of those murder victims two of them were my family members. And I'm pretty sure, others in here too have suffered some loss in that space. But to clean up the street is very important. So we need to rearrange whatever we need to do next year in the budget that'll come. But I definitely think we need to move forward on this motion.
Okay. Counselor Joyner?
It's a great investment. We need to move on it and make it part of the budget next year.
Okay. Seeing no other lights, roll call, please.
Counselor Harris?
Yes?
Mayor Parton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gore?
Yes.
Counselor Pelham?
Yes.
Counselor Holloway?
Yes.
Counselor Joyner?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay. Moving on to
Thank you, y'all.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Moving on to R1 legislative agenda, Dr. Manker.
Mr. Mayor, and members of the City Council, the Legislative Committee has been meeting. We are currently reviewing the contracts for legislative services. We have an interview tomorrow with the last candidate. Afterwards, the committee will present to council of the selection Today, you have before you the 2025 legislative requests. I received all of those requests by email. I consolidated those requests. You have a spreadsheet in front of you. There are approximately 22 requests. The first 7 of those requests are in the detail line item. You'll see that I tried to give you the actual Virginia code where those legislative requests have been approved and actually made into law, so you can go back there to revisit those. In the middle column, you'll see some highlighted ones, which are the new requests, whether they came from council or whether they are from staff. And then the last 11 requests are appropriations that are already in the current agenda. Last week, in the discussion, last council meeting in the discussion, I think Vice Mayor Gore went through the agenda. Everyone agreed to the items that were currently in the agenda. And so tonight, we have 4 items on the table for discussion, and to provide the legislative committee with some direction as to whether to include those items into the agenda or not. I do have members from the planning committee who may be asked to speak, but one of those items are the split value taxation alternative, the public safety penny tax, the state legislation. I think this was a request from the mayor to connect the Lower Appomattox River Trail to the Capitol Trail. And then the last item was the treasurer's office and any recommendations as far as the accounting services and placing those into the finance department. And so those are the 4 items that are outstanding for discussion. The remainder of the packet is pretty much complete. So I'll yield the floor back to the mayor to open the floor for discussion.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine with, proposing and moving forward with all 4 requests. I mean, I think that all of them, are certainly, worth exploring. I know that, we talked a little bit about the split value taxation alternative last year. I know Dr. Reynolds is here tonight to, talk a little bit about it. Him and the Planning Commission have studied it. And, I'm happy to, explore the option. At least, give us the opportunity to explore it. So I'm fine with moving forward with adding these 4 into the legislative agenda. Councilor Pelham?
What's the difference between number 4 and 7?
It's,
One says 5-cent tax for plastic bags, and one says the same thing, but then has the parentheses.
It's the same thing.
It's same thing.
yeah, they're the same thing. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. It's the same
So-
as Ms.
So
Pelham.
do we need to put it on there and find out whether or not we
One
get
of these
permission or before we even
It's,
put?
it's actually in the legislative packets. See, I notated it's on page 9.
Okay, thank you, I didn't see that.
Okay. Councilor Joyner?
So which one are you gonna strike?
Which
4 or
one is
7?
right?
No, those are ones that already are legislation.
But there was a
They're the sa-
duplication.
they're
She
same
wanted to know which
thing.
one you
Oh.
wanted.
Remember, I asked for
Number,
this, I had asked for this last time, so 7 is just, 7 is the duplicate.
Yeah, so you can just
Fine.
strike 7.
We'll strike 7.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Counselor Joyner?
Yeah, with regard to the split value taxation alternative, that's been approved by the Planning Commission, but Dr. Reynolds can speak to that tonight, if that would be useful. Would allow him to speak.
Sure.
We talked about this before.
Yeah. Well, we said,
Are you okay with it?
yeah, I mean, I'm fine
You're
with it. I
okay
mean,
with
is
it?
everyone okay
You're
with?
okay with it? All right.
Okay. Vice Mayor
That's fine.
Gore?
Dr. Mackey did a good job recapping where we are, but just for clarity, if we just keep everything in here, I can't speak for the whole committee, but I would say, Counselor Joyner, I think our recommendation is to keep everything in, see what sticks, because we have to submit everything to the
That's
General
correct.
Assembly members by like a deadline like next week. And
Yeah.
so it's best to just give them everything, and then as we get closer to narrowing stuff down, as we talk to the new lobbyists or whatever, then stuff can come off the list. But it's best to let them have the whole.
I agree, totally
Yeah.
agree.
That makes sense.
I have a question.
Okay.
So I will make a motion to go
Okay.
ahead and
That's fine.
adopt the draft legislative agenda
Mm-hmm.
for submission to our General Assembly representatives for further discussion and evaluation.
I'll second that.
And then that includes the 4 new items and then
Yes.
all the appropriation
Yes.
requests?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, and it's been seconded by Counselor Joyner, Counselor Pelham for discussion.
Is number 2, I thought, Mr. Ward, I thought we already had an ordinance to blight properties. Did we find, did they have to register blight properties for $100 or something? Is that still one
Blight
of,
tax.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a blight tax.
that's not, okay, what
That
is,
was-
what
I
is
think
ours
it's a
called?
vacant building registry.
That was a registration to be added to.
Do we still do that?
We have that ordinance on the books, yes.
When they report it
It
to you?
is, I would say it's implemented, but not to the degree that it should be. That's one of the programs we are taking under review
So
in our
like if I see a
department.
dilapidated property, I can give you an address and you can go out and then charge those people to get it registered or something?
Well, we don't register dilapidated properties, but they can be assessed and be determined to be blighted. So that would
Blight.
fall under our
Okay,
spot
blight.
blight
Okay.
ordinance, right, which is separate from our
So
vacant
so
building
we can do
registry.
that?
Yes,
Because that's the
ma'am.
only way you'll get to know if people report it, right?
Uh,
And as your people
that's-
drive around town, do they ever turn that into the office too?
They do, but we always welcome the citizens to call us if they've got a particular concern, and we will get an inspector out there within
Yeah.
24 hours typically.
Okay, I
to do an
that, 'cause
assessment.
It's one I see all the time and I just, it's bad.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sure.
But we don't actually have a spot, or excuse me, just a blight tax in general.
No,
I am not aware of
No.
any blight
I
tax.
used the
no.
wrong terminology.
Okay.
It was
And we're
registration.
and are we authorized as the city to do that? I just remember vaguely about certain localities we're allowed to do it.
They are.
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. Is
There-
there a state code reference?
There is, and
Okay.
I can share this with you, but there is a state code reference here
Is Hopewell
that I
in it?
provided.
Yeah.
I did
No.
not see, but I did not see any
not-
of the localities listed in this.
Okay.
It was
It's just
very
the code.
high, it was just the code. So we may need to dig further
Okay.
into it.
I'd like to see that because I just think that's the only way that you're gonna get some of these slumlords to, start either sell their properties that are derelict and blighted, or to actually fix them up and make them nice.
I'll share it with you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing no lights, this is the motion to approve the legislative agenda with the 4 new additions and the appropriation requests.
So, wait a minute.
Yep.
And with what?
The appropriation requests.
Oh, that we were discussing?
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Counselor Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Parton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gore. Yes. Counselor Pelham,
Yeah.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
Okay. R2, legal firm search.
Mr. Mayor, I am requesting that council consider authorizing the city to move forward with a legal attorney search with a talent agency. Those funds are to come from the 2024 carryover funds from budget year 2024.
Okay. Vice Mayor Gore.
Before I make the motion, I just wanna, just say historically how it works. you know, after council agrees to terms and how we're advertising and blah, 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 mayor and vice mayor needs to negotiate the contract for the person who's been selected, and that comes back to council. So I think with the firm, I think we need to make sure it's clear who are gonna be the points of contact with us initially as, they are onboarded to figure out what the expectation of council is. So I do think that we should, support this, but I would say mayor, vice mayor, or designees to, participate in those communications with the consultant.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah. Yep. Make sure that's in the motion.
But that's what I was saying. My bad. Make sure we're on the same page, but I say, okay. Motion to approve, city manager to solicit the support of an outside firm for the recruitment of a city attorney, with the expectation the mayor, vice mayor, or their designees serve as primary points of contact for the recruitment.
Okay, I'll second it. Okay. Motion's been made by Vice Mayor Gore and seconded by Councilor Joyner. Is there any discussion? Seeing no lights, roll call, please.
Counselor Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Parton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gore,
Yes.
Counselor Pelham,
Yeah.
Counselor Holloway,
Yes.
Counselor Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay. Dr. Manker, I know the next item that you have is for the city strategic plan.
Yeah, I don't wanna go through it, I just wanna say that it's here.
Yeah, please review.
Yeah, please review at your own leisure. I emailed it out on Friday in the manager's weekly review. But I just wanted to formally put it in the packet, for council to review. It's been completed. It's not just the 3 priorities that council discussed earlier this year. Staff spent a lot of time going through this, updating every, I would say, area of the strategic plan. And it was completed a little past my due date, which was July the 1st, but we made it at July the 19th. And I spent the last month or so kind of really organizing it here for a presentation. It has, of course, it needs to be adopted, reviewed and adopted by council, so that's why you see the draft here, but it's at its completion.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And in honor of Counselor Pelham, we'll read out the vacancies and then we can do closing comments for everybody.
Wow. We ain't had that in years.
All right. Board,
Motion to adjourn.
okay, you want to adjourn? Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Alice?
We had an expert time to make it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
I got to be in front of my thing.